You know how you can't rest until you feel that you've earned it, until you've done enough work to collapse, and only then you feel like you can sit down. And even that's not the kind of rest where you sit down and breathe. You make a cup of tea, sit down and check emails, or call your child's school, or make a doctor's appointment for you or your family. And then in the end, gulp down the semi-cold, sad-looking tea and then on to the next task. Where a day off from parenting means scrubbing down the house, mowing the lawn, and that's your definition of rest. Your GP probably says you're fine, your blood tests come up normal, and nothing on paper rings an alarm. But you've been dragging your body, you can barely lift your head, you're tired, exhausted, have nothing left to give. And yet, the to-do list seems to never have an end. The demands on your person are ever increasing. And you feel guilty for getting to work 5 minutes late, or not having an Instagram-worthy meal for your child's lunchbox. You stay awake instead of sleeping after you put your kids to bed, or after you've turned off your work laptop just to have a cup of tea and doom scroll on your phone or watch Netflix. All because you've not had a single restful, peaceful moment to yourself all day. If you can relate to any of the above, you're absolutely not alone. So many of us, especially as women all around the globe, can't seem to find rest. And that's why I'm making this video. I hope that by the end of it you'd have been reminded of why it is so important to rest. How it doesn't have to take a lot of planning or time. And most importantly, why, my love, you are absolutely worthy of it. We live in a world so strange. How did we even get here? A culture where a day on the couch resting to get through a cold is called a cheeky day off. Going to bed at any time before midnight is compared to old age and mocked through pop culture and sitcoms. Where a homemaker mother who single-handedly runs her entire family till her feet are riddled with blisters is celebrated for being a super mom instead of being given help and support. And a mother who chooses to work outside her house and never has a single minute of cognitive break is called a Wonder Woman, or the epitome of a modern woman, without recognizing the burnout chipping away at her soul. A culture where you get paid for 9 to 5 but are expected to pick up every work-related call and respond to every single work chat and email till late hours of the night. Where a woman's maternity leave that's never even enough and is spent in agony is considered a luxury relaxing time. A world where people glamorize their grandmother's lives for raising 10 kids. A team of in-laws cooking 3 meals a day, washing a cricket team's worth of clothes by hand, looking prim and proper, all while ignoring their twisting joints, herniated discs, and a series of autoimmune diseases and scattered dreams. We could trace this back to the rise of capitalism, to the worship of consumption, the empire of corporations, to the fading of community, the loss of the collective, the silencing of something ancient and human within us. But I won't take you down that road tonight. You've already felt enough of it. Instead, I'll talk about rest, so that you leave realizing how much you need it in your life, and how easy it is. What is rest anyway? Rest is what restores balance. It's what fills your cup again, clears the mental clutter, and brings back clarity. It's what reminds you that you are human, made of flesh, bones, and soul. It's how you turn to yourself, how you remember your rhythm, and there is no single way to rest. Across time, cultures, and science, we've learned that rest has many faces, because with billions of us, each with our own stories, pressures, and gifts, how could rest ever be one size fits all? Let's talk about some ways we can rest. Let's begin with sleep. Sleep is the foundation, the most essential form of rest. It's when your body literally cleans and repairs itself. During deep sleep, your brain washes away toxins through the lymphatic system. the same process that helps lower the risk of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. As we sleep, emotional experiences are processed and softened through REM. So when you wake up, things feel much less intense and manageable. Sleep also regulates hormones like cortisol, insulin, and even leptin. And these hormones are so essential to balance your stress, blood sugar, and appetite. It restores your focus, sharpens decision making, and keeps your immune system strong. Without sleep, everything else, every other form of rest, becomes less effective. Sleep is as vital as water or air. Next, let's talk about doing absolutely nothing. Rest as stillness. Sometimes rest means doing absolutely nothing. Just laying down, just breathing, just being. When you do this, basically do nothing, even for 10 or 15 minutes, your body shifts into the parasympathetic state, the rest and digest mode that allows your heart rate to slow down, lowers your blood pressure, and releases built-up cortisol. In stillness, your brain consolidates memories, integrates experiences, and allows creative insights to surface from beneath the noise. It's not laziness, it's active recovery. Stillness is where the mind heals itself quietly. Rest as a form of connection. Rest can also be social, found in the safety of someone who truly listens. Talking to a friend releases oxytocin, our bonding hormone or love hormone. It calms the nervous system, stabilizes heart rate, and even lowers inflammation. Close, supportive relationships are linked to longer lives, not because of magic, but because love is biology. Connection reminds the body that it's safe again. Talking about rest, how could we ever forget about nature and movement? Sometimes rest lives in motion, not in stopping, but in slowing. A walk in nature, for example, lowers cortisol and restores attention. Your brain switches from task mode to a softer, creative rhythm. Studies show even light daily walking can cut mortality risk by half while lifting mood and easing anxiety. Cycling, dancing, or gentle yoga do the same. Rhythmatic movement balances the nervous system and releases endorphins. It proves that rest isn't always stillness. Sometimes it's rhythm. And the most cliched form of rest, self-care. As shallow as it may sound, there is so much advantage to the silly, benign, small, ritualistic habits of self-care. Rituals like oiling your hair, taking a warm bath, or massaging your skin aren't indulgent. They're neurological self-care. Gentle touch stimulates the vagus nerve and releases endorphins, lowering blood pressure, cortisol, and stress hormones. When you slow down enough to feel the warmth of water, the scent of oil, the quietness of your own presence, you teach your body what safety feels like again. This is rest disguised as tenderness, and it is not shallow, not performative at all if you do it for the right reasons. And how could we forget being creative? So let's talk about rest as creativity. Rest can be art. Painting, knitting, gardening, writing. These are all active meditations. Their repetition calms the nervous system and creates a flow state where the mind stops racing and starts breathing. Creativity engages the same neural networks linked to joy, empathy, and problem solving. When you create, you regulate. And as somebody who is never not reading, this one might just be my favorite, which is rest as reading. Quiet, slow, and focused. Reading is rest for the modern mind. It lowers stress by nearly 90%, slows the heart rate, and activates brain areas that build empathy and imagination. Reading gives your mind one gentle task, and in that simplicity, the body finds stillness and rest. And here's the last one. It might not be for everybody, but still, let's talk about it. Rest as faith and reflection. Prayer or meditation, whether spiritual or secular, calms the amygdala, quiets looping thoughts, and strengthens the prefrontal cortex, which helps us regulate emotion and builds resilience. It's not about silence, it's about coming home to yourself. Just a few minutes a day, in stillness or in prayer. Remind the body, I am safe, I am here, I am whole. But what happens when you don't rest? When you go too long without rest, the body forgets what safety feels like. Cortisol rises, hormones misfire, sleep becomes shallow, and mood completely unstable. The world becomes too loud, too much. For women, rest deprivation can worsen PMS, PMDD, and menopausal symptoms, while chronic stress heightens inflammation, heart strain, and weight imbalance. The nervous system stays stuck in fight or flight, and soon burnout becomes your baseline. You start surviving instead of living. And this is what we're talking about in the beginning of the video, where I said you're probably dragging yourself even though your GP says you're absolutely fine. That's the burnout speaking. That's when you're just surviving, barely living. So, if you're still here, here is what I would like to say to you in the end. If you've been pushing through exhaustion, telling yourself rest must be earned, I want to remind you, it's not a reward, it's a requirement. You don't have to schedule it, justify it. You don't need permission, you don't need a schedule, you don't need to justify it, or even make it productive or anything else. Because rest is breathing, it's sleeping, it's talking, it's spending time with your loved ones. Sometimes it's sitting under the sun or talking to someone who makes you laugh. Sometimes it's closing your eyes for 5 minutes and letting the world wait. And none of the above have to be earned. You are worthy of rest simply because you are alive. And the more you honor that, the more you return to yourself, whole, human, and beautifully in rhythm again. And to end on a lighter note, in the words of Anne Lamott, almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. If you've stayed with me this far, thank you. I hope I've inspired you to rest your body, mind, and heart. See you next time. Bye.